We're going to finish this section by looking at the final element of the band descriptors for task achievement that we haven't looked at yet, and that is making sure that we address all of the bullet point directives. So this lecture is called Bullet Point Brilliance, and it's making sure that we cover all elements of the task. We'll have to have another look back at the band descriptors just so that we understand what the differences are between a band 6 and a band 7 and even a band 8. So let's focus on the differences between band 6 and band 7 for task achievement. Now, band 6 says presents and adequately highlights bullet points, but details may be irrelevant, inappropriate or inaccurate. Whereas band 7, we have clearly presents and highlights bullet points but could be more fully extended. So there are 4 key words across both of those band descriptor criteria. Let's think about those. So, similar to the issues of tone and purpose, the differences between band 6 and band 7, we can see relevance, appropriateness, accuracy. Relevance, appropriateness, and accuracy. To score a band 8 or above, we also need to consider extension. Okay, so you can score a band 7 if your points are not fully extended. Like you say, that could be more fully extended, but if you want to go above that to a band 8, you will need to extend your points as well as make sure they are relevant, appropriate, and accurate. So we have these 4 ideas: relevance, appropriateness, accuracy, and extension. Fortunately, if you put those letters together, you can come up with a memorable term: area. A-R-E-A. A-R-E-A, area. For appropriateness, relevance, extension, and accuracy. So these are all key to whether you succeed or fail when addressing the bullet point directives. Now we're going to look at each one of these in turn, look at what would fail in terms of achieving these criteria, and also what would succeed. So let's have a look at an example task so that we can look at these points in more detail. You recently bought a piece of equipment for your kitchen, but it did not work. You phoned the shop, but no action was taken. Write a letter to the manager. In your letter, describe the problem with the equipment, explain what happened when you phoned the shop, say what you would like the manager to do. Now remember, if you were doing this task, you'd make sure you plan in the appropriate way, and you'd write your purpose sentence, and then you could move on to your bullet points, but you need to make sure that these points are appropriate, relevant, extended, and accurate. So let's look at each one of these in turn. Let's start with appropriateness, the A, the first A. So let's look at one of these bullet points. Describe the problem with the equipment. Okay, now this is a bit of an unlikely scenario. You're probably not going to write this, but it's good for an example. There is a hole in the appliance which renders it useless. A word I would also use to describe your stuff. Okay, so that language in parentheses there, I wouldn't recommend that you write that. You might feel angry with the shop staff, but it is inappropriate to bring the issue up in this informal and aggressive manner within the letter. So that's this idea of appropriateness. It is inappropriate to talk in this way, to write in this way, so you shouldn't do so. So to improve it, we simply remove that language in parentheses and we just have the initial language there. There is a hole in the appliance which renders it useless. Let's have a look at the idea of relevance. Describe the problem with the equipment. Now here's an example of something which is going to fail in this regard. I had been stuck in traffic for hours and just arrived home before using the appliance. Now this information about traffic has no relevance to the letter. It could be used to suggest frustration, maybe, but even then an examiner would probably be likely to see it as irrelevant. He doesn't know what's going on in your mind exactly. So try to avoid any language that is irrelevant to the task. To improve this, we simply just remove it. We don't want anything like this in the letter, anything that's irrelevant to the task. Remember, you don't want to make a letter too long as well. You want to save that time for checking and for moving into task 2. Thinking about extension. So this is where we move from band 7 to band 8, or secure a very strong band 7. Let's have a look at the bullet point. Explain what happened when you phoned the shop. Here's a sentence. When I called the shop, I was told I couldn't get a refund. So it's appropriate and it's relevant, but there's no extension here. There's absolutely no extension. We don't know who you spoke to. We don't know what you said. Make sure you do keep those details relevant, but we do need some extension as well. So how could we improve this? We could add those details in. When I called the shop, I spoke to a staff member called Hannah to explain the issue with the defective appliance. Unfortunately, Hannah informed me I was not entitled to a refund. Now that language about Hannah is relevant. Imagine you were writing this letter. The manager would need to know who you spoke to. If he didn't know who you spoke to, it's going to be difficult for him to really fix the problem for the future. So it's relevant to him. It's very important to add that in. And then we can explain what we said. We explained the issue with the defective appliance. So now we have appropriateness, we have relevance, we have extension. Let's finally consider the idea of accuracy. So final bullet point, say what you would like the manager to do. We have the sentence, I think it is only fair that I be reimbursed for this faulty product. So in this case, we are saying what we would think is fair, but not specifically what we would like the manager to do. And that is an important difference. It may be a minor difference, but it's still an important difference, as this can be seen as a lack of accuracy when responding to the task, 100% accuracy. So we can keep this language. We don't have to delete it, but we need to maybe add a little bit more just so that we ensure that the examiner knows we have addressed accurately that bullet point directive. So we can see here, I've edited it to, I think it is only fair that I be reimbursed for this faulty product, and I therefore kindly request that you provide a full refund at your earliest opportunity. So we're saying what we would like the manager to do. I kindly request that you provide a full refund. If you manage to do this, if you manage to develop your ideas in a way that is appropriate and relevant and accuracy, but also offer some extension, then you are much more likely to secure a very strong band 7 or maybe even up to a band 8 and band 9. And that closes our section on task achievement. So in the next lecture, we're going to get started on the category of coherence and cohesion. See you there.